What's up, legend?
What's up with you, great man? How you feeling, gang?
I'm feeling good, man. First off, I appreciate you. And let me just say why I appreciate you, because you're one of the few rappers I could call, and we don't speak every day. But if I need you for whatever reason, you pop out for me. No, and I really mean that. And I got to mean this again. A couple years ago, and you might not know this, you probably don't care, Royce, but by you putting me in your lives with guys like Bun B, Royce Royce the 5 9, yourself, of course, and a few other Russ and these guys that you did a couple years ago, that helped me a lot. I don't know if I ever told you that, but it did help me with traction, with me to actually get people on my show. So I always give you credit for that. And you might not want it, but it is what it is, sir.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, but that's why I did it. You know,
Right.
That's why I did it. I told myself like a while ago, probably somewhere like more than 5 to 7 years ago, that I'm just gonna try to be a lot more intentional with everything about everything that I'm passionate about or that I feel is important to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just us trying to help empower each other on some kind of level, or just being a little bit more intentional, where we kind of like, because we have say so over where we place that energy at. You know what I mean? Especially around that time, those situations were just so low vibrational. You know what I mean? Like, you must engage in shit that's not important. At least the least you could do is kind of like try to control to some degree, or just delegate, where you delegate the attention to, or the traction, because there are people in the culture who kind of like make a living off of that, but they're not so respectful of the culture like that. So
got you. So Royce, how was performing today for the Big Three? How was that, brother? How was that?
it was cool. It was an honor. It was an honor. That was my first time meeting Cube. Well, I met Cube in the studio with Dre before, but I know he don't remember that. So it's kind of like my first time.
Were you young Nickel at the time?
Yeah. I was actually there the first time he met Marshall too. So I had to be like 19.
Wow.
19, maybe 20. So this was my first time meeting him, where he knew who I was. You know what I mean? So that was a cool thing. And then just to be a part of it, I was especially drawn to just everything that he put out there when he went on this last kind of like promo run that he did, kind of like talking about it. Because I ain't really been doing nothing, like a lot of appearances and shit like that. I just been kind of chilling. But this particular thing, I felt like, man, we got to support Cube.
Was it hard to tell Cube no, Royce? Was it hard to tell Cube no?
Huh?
Was it hard to tell Cube no?
No, I didn't tell him no.
Right. Obviously,
I didn't tell him no. But I mean, if it had been anything else, for that kind of thing, I wouldn't have did it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I felt like we needed to support him. I was stoked as fuck just to see the turnout. You know what I mean? Like, it was just to watch niggas just play half court
ball, right?
I've never seen it before.
Right.
So like three of the guys is like former NBA dudes who I recognize. Coutinho Mobley.
Okay.
Played
for the Rockets back in the day.
Who you say?
Coutinho played for the Rockets.
Yeah, Coutinho played for the Rockets. Steve Francis. It was somebody else who I recognized too. And then the other guys, I think they drafted them out of college. You know what I mean? And nobody really was in shape like that. You know what I mean? Like, they were just chilling. It was just like a half court game, bro. It's like really some shit. Really, I could lace my shoes back up and probably get out there and, kick the dust off my 3-point ball. You know what I mean? Get myself back in the rhythm. Because I could play with them niggas. Probably not in their primes, but I can play with them.
Okay.
At the pace that they was going, I can play with them at that pace.
Royce, 50 years of hip hop. What does that mean to Royce the 5'9"?
I think, to me, it means shit, pretty much everything, man. Like, there's not any facet of hip hop that I can think about that didn't affect me in some kind of way, and mostly in great ways. You know, especially with just being instrumental in changing my life. Like the circumstances that we kind of came up in, hip hop was like, it was like the outlet for me that gave me hope of something. It gave me hope of something to do where I could get myself on a path to where I can gain insight and I can help so many other people. Because that's really like the key thing, man. It's like how many people I've been able to, how many lives I've been able to change, and how many people were instrumental in changing my life. You know what I mean? It's like so much can be done on that path, and hip hop makes all of this shit possible. It's like the equalizer, bro. It's like that one thing that the whole world can just kind of agree on. If it's a song or if it's we all at a concert, I could be standing next to somebody who don't really agree with anything else that I have to say. We don't even need to hear each other speak. When that song come on, it's just understood. You know what I mean? I think music has always had that power, but I think the hip hop is like the first genre that really took some extra steps to kind of bring people together. You know what I mean? Because like previously, you think about it, like R&B and all of that shit. You had like a lot of the Motown guys were like complaining about maybe Elvis would do like a remake of somebody's song, and then it before Elvis touched it and sang it exactly the same, but it's just Elvis doing it. Now it's a big pop hit, you know, and then everything that, you know, the singers on this side was doing, it was just considered urban music. And the big thing was how to break out of that urban music kind of category that they were like putting people in. So Barry Gordy, the guy who started Motown and his big
legend.
Like he even went out of his way and made it a thing where the artist's pictures weren't on the front of the vinyls at the beginning.
Wow.
Because it was like he wanted them to have a real shot at the world as opposed to just being placed in a box because of skin color. And it was going on. A lot of shit happened, you know, during like segregation. I'm not sure if it was Jim Crow per se, but it was segregation. It was segregated in Detroit where black people were kind of like forced, not even forced, but black people, it was just understood that, you know, when they go to other neighborhoods, they didn't feel welcome. So it was like black people were just used to being in our own neighborhoods, building our own shit, having our own businesses. And the spirit of Motown that's what created Motown. That spirit created that. You know what I mean? So it's deep. It's real deep. So I think just piggybacking off of that, I think hip hop is the only genre that you can honestly say it piggybacks off of that spirit, but even more independent and even less dependent on being validated by other groups or other forms of music. It just kind of took on a life of its own.
Right.
I mean, it took 50 years. It took 50 years for us to be, you know, talking about health and mental health, and you know what I'm saying, and like, and our legends and shit look way better on stage than anybody else's legends. You know what I mean? Like our legends, not all of them, all of them are shells of their former selves. Some of them, you know, some of them are still looking like super young. You know what I mean? So if you look at the Eagles and the Rolling Stones and shit like that, and the way that they tour nonstop year round, imagine what, you know, what that's gonna look like for hip hop in 30 more years. You know what I'm saying? Like it's probably gonna be the most beautiful thing the world has ever seen. You know, so just to even look at it from that kind of like perspective, how could it not mean everything to me? You know, like the fact that it's 50 years and evolving.
Wow.
50 years still evolving. 50 years still evolving. Even if you don't like, you know, like some of the shit that it's evolved into, some of the shit that the evolution has produced, even if you don't like it, that's even one of the fun parts of fanfare. You know what I'm saying? Like to hate some shit, like being taken aback by, you know, a direction that the kids decided to take lyricism, or the kids decided to switch this around and do it their way. Like I love watching it.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think it happens to like rock and that shit there's a foundation there, like country music, all of that shit is a foundation there that never really switches. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we switched the whole script around in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what you're gonna get, and it's like it's fun just to be in that fight to not be outdated. You know what I mean? Like one of my biggest fears is just actually not understanding some shit. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, really?
Yeah, man. Like I don't want to not understand it. I know it's gonna be plenty that I'm not gonna really be into because I know it's not necessarily made for me. Like I wasn't the intended target.
Right.
I still like to be able to understand what people like about it. Especially if it's like general consensus, hands down, people like it. I got to make myself understand why.
I'm the same way. Royce.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
It's like I'm not about to be one of them guys who's about to go out there and try it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not changing up who I am to like fit into anything. But I still like to understand. I still like to be aware. Like kind of like stay tapped in. You know, should I tap out for a couple months, man? I feel like I got so much catching up to do. You know what I mean? So
right. You know what I've learned the last couple of days? A lot of artists, and especially the old artists, are saying what hip hop has saved them. Do you feel that way too? That hip hop saved you?
I guess in a sense. I mean, I'm sure I could think of some things that I can correlate to my journey in hip hop, where my journey, the path that I ended up on, is a path that's going the opposite direction of a direction that I maybe was gonna go, and the possibilities of what could have happened had I not gone that direction. I think we all can do that. You know what I mean? Any of us who have chosen a better path than the previous. You know what I mean? So I think you can always kind of like do that with hip hop. I think the bigger question is, did hip hop save the world? Like, is hip hop saving the world?
That's a very wow. I like
because it's bigger. It's bigger than just you and me. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It's like it's saving the world. You know, like it's a way. It's like a translator. You know what I mean? And it's like the more that the world embraces it, and we get to hear like different renditions of it, whether it be UK drill or Afro
beats, Afro beats, Afro music. I know you go with that, yeah.
You hear all that shit that these guys are doing. I remember it was a point in time, bro, where I would travel out the country and I would hear what they doing in other countries, and I'd be like, yo, this is the biggest shit over here. I see why it's just over here.
Right.
You know I mean, now you go over and you listen to shit, and it's just, I guess it's because of the internet and how everything is just more accessible. It's just everybody is just more progressive and developed. Like sometimes I go over and listen to shit, and it's better. It's farther along than we are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's scary. So it's like, then you got guys like Drake, Drake is like he's like a hybrid. He's like the first hybrid superstar, hip hop superstar, that can kind of like, he kind of plays in between what the standard positions used to be. Kind of like how, you remember when AI came into the league and it was like kind of a point guard, but then he's
like really two guard. Yes.
Yeah, so you can't really put him in that kind of a box, because it's like he writes some shit, but then he don't write everything. But he's like really good at what he does, but you don't know exactly what he does. And then his consistency shows you that he's steering the ship, and then it just leaves you to your assumptions, and it's like a whole different way to do it.
Right.
And to me, that's fascinating.
Wow.
It's fascinating because it's like you're figuring out a way to do it, and then you're lumping all of that in with the ability to be able to market what you're doing at the same time. These guys are thinking of all of that shit now when they create. Joyner is like going in the studio, he writing a song, but he can see it. And not only can he see it when he writing it, he knows how to like bring that vision to fruition. And it's just like evolution, bro.
Right.
It's crazy.
Biggie once said, "I never thought hip hop would take it this far." How ill is that quote right now in 2023, Royce?
I mean, everybody kind of probably felt like that, right? You know what I mean, like even us that just loved it. the way that they were trying to program us and the shit that we had to hear on a day-to-day basis, oh, that shit ain't gonna last. That's just some fad music. That's just, like it's just some trendy shit. It's gonna go away. It ain't gonna last. You know what I mean? So it's like we kind of had those feelings in the back of our mind, you know what I'm saying? Like hoping that they wrong, but shit. We didn't know. You know what I mean? So it's like now it's like 50 years in, everybody is like confident now. It's like hip hop ain't going nowhere. Hip hop took over the world, bro.
Absolutely.
Over the
So
world. And we didn't I don't feel like we knew that back then because it was just like we couldn't have known that because everybody was a little bit too comfortable with not really making a lot of money. It's like
wow.
guys were like they were getting paid with clout, you know? Like ownership didn't become a thing until
Owning your
a little
masters and
bit
stuff
later.
like that,
People had
right?
to evolve into the things that we were even felt like we had the leverage to even ask for.
Mm.
That's a whole nother evolution, you know what I mean? And that turns into a lot of bitter feelings from guys that had to fucking go out there and take shrapnel. So all we had to take is lead. You know
So
what I
all right.
mean? It's
So
like
let me go ahead with you right quick because I want to ask you a question. I've seen MC Shan and Nas go at it. First of all, let me say this: I hate seeing the old OGs argue with rappers. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing Shan and Nas. What's your take on Eminem and Melly Mel? What do you? I made a blog about that. I thought Melly Mel, respectfully, was kind of out of line. I thought he did this on some Jay Z shit. Like he set the trap just to see dude react. Marshall, who's one of the biggest artists of all time, he reacts, and it helps out Melly Mel more than Marshall.
I, mm, let me be real careful how I choose
Okay,
my
all
words.
right, okay,
I don't think that this is my personal kind of like take on this.
okay,
I don't think that it helps Melly Mel in any way to like to move that way. And it's not because he didn't get the viewership. It's because he didn't need the viewership. Like
okay,
in my opinion, this is just how this
mhm,
is because of based off of how I look at him.
okay,
In my opinion, man, like we need structure in the culture. We got like a lot of guys that are willing to step out on the limb and really kind of like stand firm and own the title gatekeeper. Like they walk in the purpose of a gatekeeper at select times. You know what I mean? And sometimes when they choose to be gatekeepers, the issues that they're coming to the table to fight are not important
mm,
at all. You know what I mean? So it's just like I'm all for the gatekeepers. I'm off, and I'm especially off for the OGs because I am one now.
yes,
Like one of the main lessons I learned as an OG is you gotta work to earn that title, just like you gotta work to earn a name in music. Period. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like if you're an OG, if you're gonna be an OG, if you're gonna be the father of all MCs, and like that comes with a gigantic responsibility. Like you automatically don't get to carry yourself a certain way. You automatically have to find a way to give grace. You automatically have to find a way to understand the things that you don't do. It's the same with like fashion. Like can you truly call yourself fly if you only like what you wear? Like you have to get to a point where you like things, maybe
right,
not for you,
right,
but you like it. You understand it. That's fresh right there. I like his style. I wouldn't wear it, but he pulled that off. Like to me, that's what fashion people do. And it's the same with MCing. It's so many different ways to be quote unquote technical and to be slick and to be genius. There's so many genius ways that you can pull off communicating with people through your music. You know what I mean? Some people are really direct, some people are like subliminal, some people are cryptic, some people are, they make it to where it's thought provoking, some people are just so like right in your face that is dope. Some people depend on melody, some people depend on flows, some people just pick beats really well, some people just bring a certain color to songs. You can't explain why you like them so much, but like how Old Dirty Bastard was. It was just like,
Yes.
it was just like
We
it was
love
just a
Old Dirty
color.
though, Royce. We love
Yeah, it
him.
was just like a color that we just needed. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's kind of like to take on that moniker, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just and I'm not saying that there's no room for mistakes or error. You know what I mean? Like we gonna say things in the heat of the moment. You know what I mean? And that on both sides. Both sides got to be a little bit more understanding. Me personally, man, I don't like to see the OGs upset about anything. You know what I mean? Like I just don't like it. I ain't like the Shan thing. I ain't like that shit at all.
Me
I
neither.
don't
Me
like
neither.
seeing him like that. I don't like seeing him look at it. I don't like feeling like this. He's in a spot. Like he's in a bad spot. I don't like that, dog, because it's just like, these motherfuckers, man, like we benefit from them even indirectly, even if they didn't intentionally set out to pave a way, they paved it. It's paved already, bro. Like me and Marshall, like we had like a tough uphill battle just coming from Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
So he got through that door. Dre helped him get through that door. He kicked that motherfucker open, and everybody from the hip hop scene in Detroit, circa 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, everybody from that era got a record deal, bro. Like every single person, like no exclude nobody, everybody. You know what I mean? So, and then it's guys in Detroit, younger guys in Detroit that feel like, Marshall didn't do enough because, they weren't really around to witness anything that they feel is tangible, that they look at as tangible, that they could have benefited from. But it's like a lot of things you benefit from, you may not know. It may be something you may look at in retrospect and say,
Right.
damn,
Retrospect. Yeah.
you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like you automatically gotta respect those that come before you, but it's a really tough line to toe because you shouldn't stand for disrespect either. You know what I mean? Like being an OG doesn't give you carte blanche.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it don't give you carte blanche to just say whatever you want to say. So we gotta find some type of medium here. And I think it always has been and it always should be some sort of code ethics with lyricists, with artists. There should be like a brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
certain things that you should just not say about another artist. Fighters do it. You know what I mean? So these lists,
But
they
but
go
But
ahead.
Royce, I always felt like the '90s rappers, you guys always gave respect to the forefathers before you guys. I feel like you did a job. Nas, Pun, you guys like Nas, Pun always show Rakim and G Rap love. The admiration you always talk about Black Thought all the time. So it's kind of like I feel you guys did a great job of
Yeah,
saluting
yeah. I
who's
mean,
before y'all.
yeah, but I mean, I don't think that right there is really the problem. Like I don't think that's the issue.
I
I
thought
think
Shan, I thought Shan issue was with Nas that he felt that Nas should have,
I think
you
I
know,
think I think because has been so vocal over the years with shouting out Shan and how much he's shown that he looks up to him,
right.
that he it wouldn't be me if it wasn't for him type shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think because he did do that is why, and this is just how I perceived it when I seen it. I think it's because he did do that there was kind of like a expectation there on Shan's end, like I thought I was your guy. How would you be doing this and not include me? You know what I mean?
Is
And
this self entitlement?
I mean, entitlement is a word maybe you can use,
Okay.
but I think,
Hip hop entitlement.
yeah, but I think entitlement. My kids are entitled.
Right.
That's not always a bad thing. Like we go to the store. We go down the toy aisle. My daughters they'll ask for anything. You know what I mean? That shit irritate my wife. It don't irritate me. You know what I mean? Like it don't
Right.
bother me. It don't bother me. I feel like they should expect to be able to get anything they want. Now, if
Mm.
I say no, and that's a problem, then that's what the problem is going to be. But it's not going to be because they expect it. As long as they can accept no as an answer, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? So, like, I think the OGs, at minimum, at minimum, they deserve to be a little entitled.
Okay.
At minimum, you know what I mean? I listened to some of what Lord Jamar was saying. One thing that he said that resonated with me was sometimes when the OGs, you know, they may go on like a rant or they may hop out of line for a second or something like that. You know, you got to look at that like, nigga, that's the OG. You just got to give them that. It don't mean you got to respond. I feel that. I don't think it applies to everybody, but I definitely feel that. Maybe it's because,
and I think Nas did that with MC Shan because now I think they mended the differences, and I saw recently Nas hugging up on Shan. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Nas and Shan thing was a little different from the M and Melly Mel thing. You know, the M and Melly Mel thing, that's more like, you know, you one of my, you know, you one of my heroes, and now you coming at my
That's
ability.
gotta hurt though, Royce, right? You blasting at your hero, like someone you looked up to, the message, like he gave us the message, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, bro, listen. That's why I said that the OGs have to learn the responsibility that comes with being that kind of OG, and always try to walk in it as much as possible. Try to be as intentional about it as possible, because it's very easy to lose that allure with people. It's very easy to, like, people look at you one way, and then, you know, you say a couple things and it, you know, it comes off wrong, you know, a few times in the wrong places, and next thing you know, you're being viewed completely different now. You know what I mean? And automatically that affects your legacy. You know what I mean? So I just think it's something, you know, that we got to be extremely careful about. You know what I mean? Because it's being an OG and a legend. It don't mean that you just get to say whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want. That's just not how the world works, bro. Like,
absolutely,
it's not. But I do agree that the OGs should get a little leeway. You know what I mean? I don't think we.
But what if they abuse it though, Royce? What if they abuse their leeway though?
No, that's what I'm saying. I said that's why I said.
Okay, I apologize.
That's why I said a little bit of leeway, and I'm not really like the I'm not really like the person who gets to decide what the measuring stick for what your boundaries are.
Right. Got you.
You know, so you know, different people have different boundaries, and Marshall has had a, you know, in spite of all of the success, he's had still fighting a uphill battle, you know, with the whole race thing. You know what I mean? Like, I personally feel like that shit really depends on what mood niggas is in that day. Like, whatever mood niggas wake up in, whatever mood hip hop wakes up in, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how niggas decide they're gonna treat Marshall today. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is just like, bro, sometimes I feel for him. You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel for him because it's like he got to eat a lot. He got to, like, sometimes I can tell, you know, like he would want to respond a certain way, but he decides against it because he's thinking of something bigger than just, you know, than just what's being said at that moment. But it's a blow to the ego of a lyricist. You know, just the way that we came up, and the way that we fell in love with the art. You know, we fell in love with it as competitors first. You know what I mean? So the least we want to, you would think after a guy is like sold all of those records and like,
you comfortable, Royce. You
shocked.
chilling.
But you would think after shocking the world so many times, selling so many records, so many accolades, that a guy at minimum would be respected, you know, as an MC. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, maybe you can take some shots at, like, I don't like the direction he went lyrically on that, or I don't like the new shit that he's been doing lately, or I don't like, you know, all of that is pretty par for the course. You know what I mean? But to still be questioning and attacking the foundation.
Come on, dog. Eminem is a hip hop dude. I'm sorry, he's a hip hop dude. Come on, like
it's like me looking at it. There hasn't really been a list over the past 20 years where it's been 50, 20, 15 people, whatever, where he hasn't been in the top 5. Not one. You know what I mean? So you would think the reaction wouldn't be the exact same every time, every year, It's like, bro, first of all, this is hip hop. Like this shit is like we love authenticity, no matter what shape or form that the culture is in at the time. We always still love authenticity, no matter how you give it to us. If we believe you, we fuck with it. We can jump off the bandwagon, whatever. But authenticity is ultimately what's gonna always draw us to you. That's just what we love. You know what I mean? You can't fake it. You can't fake it 20 plus years in this kind of a business. You cannot do it. It's impossible.
Very much so. Very much so,
It's
Royce.
impossible. If this man was all of these things that a lot of people are accused, well, not a lot of people was accusing him of being stuff.
Right.
I think the main thing now is just yeah, it's cool, but it's not for me. And if he wasn't white, you know, then he wouldn't even be on the list at all. To me, that's somebody speaking from a very uninformed place. And that's I mean that with all respect. You know what I mean? And I feel like if you truly are gonna be gatekeeper, OG, father of all MCs, that automatically should come with an obligation to at least do your due diligence. You know, you can openly, you as OG should be able to openly criticize something and take it even a step further from just your opinion that you're entitled to. You should be able to openly criticize it, but it's up to you to figure out a way to do it where it's not disrespectful.
Absolutely.
You know, it's up to you to figure out how to do that. And it's also up to you to make sure that you're speaking from an informed place, because the people that are listening to you, you're ultimately influencing them. If they don't have the wherewithal in them to go do the due diligence, you know, if it's like, yo, all this nigga rap about is fucking killing his mama and fucking his daughter. It's like, if you make a comment like that, then I know you don't even know.
You skimming through it like Jay-Z said. You
yeah, it's like through it. I can't argue with somebody that's dealing with only that amount of information. Because then it's just gonna turn into me cooning. You know, like, oh man, he just you know, he just speaking up for Marshall because Marshall pays bills or whatever. You know, all of this.
Does that piss you off?
Huh?
Does that piss you off at all, or did it piss you off at one time when people try to say that?
It's been times it's been said where I got mad.
Okay.
But I mean, it's kind of like a go-to. You know, it's kind of like the people kind of like lean on when they don't want. A lot of times people get frustrated when you start throwing facts in there. You know, they don't want to. A lot of times they don't want to deal with your facts. They want to throw something at you to make you feel insulted, to either make the convo go left or to make you just kind of like gracefully bow out so they can continue on with their party of convincing people to come to their party and agree with them. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a hell of a thing for people to unify over when, you know, like when real shit is happening to us. It's real culture vultures out there existing, you know, that's omnipresent, that's all over the place, where you don't even feel the need to speak on that at all. Like, we've been through the pandemic, feel like it was 5 years. I went through a whole bunch of personal shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can only imagine what the rest of the world has been going through. We've been going through like real shit. I never hear any of these guys talking, saying anything, having anything to say. And like the first time you decide to be vocal and passionate about something, and you're attempting to get people to corral with you and stand in solidarity against something that you so against, to me, that's counterintuitive, man. Because it's you against something that's not against you.
Right.
It's shit out there that's clearly against you, and you don't have anything to say about it. It's just like, to me, that's one of our biggest problems, you know, as a culture. Eminem is not our problem. You know what I'm saying? Like Eminem's not doing anything but pushing the culture forward, bro. That's all he's doing. Whether you want to admit that or not, he never came and said, I'm about to push this culture forward. He came and told his story the way that he lived it, and he did it his authentic way. And contrary to the popular comments that are being thrown around, we listened to it. We were taken aback by it. We were entertained by it. No, it's not our story. No, it's not what we're used to hearing. But that's what we loved about it. You think I need to hear another nigga tell me that he's from the hood and he sold drugs? I don't want to hear that from nobody ever again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like when he came out, it was a breath of fresh air. But I get it. You know, like if you didn't live through that, if you wasn't there at that time, then I get why, you know, you didn't get a chance to really feel that impact. You know what I mean? And if you're not like if you're not like a MC kind of like purist, then a lot of things that he does from a technical standpoint, you won't hear it. You know what I mean? Like you won't hear it. It's like
Right.
watching fucking Pernell Whitaker box.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you'll see that it's like, whoa, he's doing a lot of move. Whoa, it seems like you can't even hit him. It's like he's swimming without getting wet. Like if you hear a fighter break down that shit, man, it'll be a whole nother perspective put on it. But if you just looking at it, you don't even really know what you're looking at. You just know it's good. And it can either be for you or not. You may want to see just knockouts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, if you're a boxing fan that only want to see knockouts, that tells me instantly that you're just a casual fan. If you can't listen to Eminem and be able to tell immediately that he's great as a lyricist, not good, great. If you can't tell that immediately, then maybe you're not the person to be trying to argue with somebody about his lack of ability to be technical or say something that relates to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, or say something or make something that plays in the club. You only hear niggas talk like that.
Absolutely.
There's so many different ways to fucking consume music. There's so many people who don't go to the club. It's such a bigger space outside of the club. Not saying that there's nothing wrong with the club. I just think the club is a horrible measuring stick for what people feel is popping. You know what I mean? Like,
when did that happen? Do you remember when that actually happened? When those conversations went from conscious hip hop, street hip hop, and now club hip hop seems to be, if you're not doing club hip hop, you're not official, so to speak.
Well, you know what? I think it's always been kind of like like I said, a measuring stick that people would kind of gauge if they fucking with it when they out partying. That was kind of like the gauge. The thing about that is that the way that people party didn't change so motherfucking much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it was a point in time when I first started going to New York. Shit, they was playing every song that Preem produced. They was playing in the clubs. You know what I mean? Like they was playing that shit. They was playing all of the Gangstar joints. They was playing, like all of the Mob Deep shit. Like, well, they still do the Mob Deep shit and shit like that. But now, like it's like artists caught on to that, and record companies and shit caught on to that, and it became more like a like a motive to get in the club, and the song started turning more into tailor made for the club music. And me personally, I never liked that kind of music. Not even if it's for the club. If it's for the radio, if it's for the club, if it's for women, if it's like that, and I can hear it, 10 times out of 10, I'm not gonna like that song.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was fitting the other day, right? August 11th, Friday. We're talking about hip hop, right? And then you go into certain hip hop songs, Common Sense, I Used to Love Her, your song, hip hop, right? It's so fitting that you made a song called Hip Hop, and it's 50 years of hip hop. When you say a line like, we started from nothing, a couple of MCs, beatboxing, a crowd in the lunchroom, like, I feel shit like that's my era. When you wrote the song Hip Hop, like, what does that mean to you to this day that you made a song that really hands of time, and it still means something to hip hop?
I mean, it means everything to me because I think that that's the thing that should be on people's mind. That's the thing that should be on artists' mind the most when we're creating. We should be thinking about making something that stands the test of time, that lasts as long as possible in the perfect world forever. You know what I mean? Or try to come as close to that as possible because it's a product like anything else. And not only is it a product, but it's a product that can do so many different things and it can affect the world in so many different ways, be it negatively or positively. You can save somebody's life with the right message in a song.
Absolutely.
The right video attached to it. You can get somebody to cry. You can get somebody to go work out. You can get somebody to fucking go do a drill. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all just depends. It all just depends on, like just the way that it's done and the way that the sender creates the message. You know what I mean? So I think the shit like the most authentic shit lasts the longest, and I think the shit that you can't really explain is the shit that usually lasts the longest because it's just understood. Like, You can't tell me why Thriller just won't stop streaming ever again.
Woo.
You can't tell me why, but you damn sure agree with how good it is. You know what I mean?
One of the greatest albums of all time.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's arguably the greatest, and
Yes.
I would say general consensus will probably put you more closer to the greatest. Like Michael Jackson is just one of those things that everybody can just kind of agree on. You know what I mean? So I mean, it means everything. It means everything. So especially songs that I made. Hip hop was on Deaf is Certain. Deaf is Certain is an album that I never listened to.
Really?
I never listened to that. I never listened to that album. I don't listen to that album.
I love that album. Why is that?
Because like I must have hit the target on that album because if I listen to it, then it just takes me there to that place that I was at when I was
okay. I got you.
And I don't really want to relive. I don't really want to relive that time in my life or feel those feelings or think about those times. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that music, that album takes me there. So it's like, with the exception of hip hop,
Boom.
Was Boom on Deaf is Certain? No,
Boom was not my bad. Boom was not on Resident. My bad.
Boom was on Rock City. So hip hop,
Rock City. Yeah.
Hip hop is like really the only song that I perform off of that album, and I definitely don't listen. I don't listen to that album at all. But I feel so blessed that I was able to make something at such a point in my life where it was such a dark time, and it was such an unclear. I know I wasn't thinking that clear because I was getting fucked up all the time. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, good quality music that lasts long and transcend, that doesn't really come. It don't usually come from those types of situations, like the environment that I created with just that energy back then.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have been surprised if it just would have stayed right there in that era. You know what I mean? I wouldn't expect, especially since it came out indie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected it to grow like that. And then like even with Boom,
God,
I still don't understand what the fuck it is about that song. But it's just like even when I did the Big Three shit today, it was like they requested that I do that song. You know what I'm saying? It was just.
Are you surprised, sir? Were you surprised, sir?
No, I mean, I'm surprised. Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised when it's that kind of a situation, when it's like, yo, he got to do Boom. Is he cool with doing Boom? It's just like, I just don't know exactly what I did on that song. And like I said,
you snapped on there, sir. You snapped on there. They say weird shit to me like I look like L. Like you was wild on there. You was wild. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know if the way that song has like existed. I don't know if it's just because I'm rapping good on it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Primo and you, yes, sir. It was a marriage, yes, sir.
I mean, but we got a lot of songs.
Listen, I always say after Guru, you probably got the most Primo joints after Guru.
Oh, it's no probably to it.
Yeah, that's the fact, I believe.
It's no probably
not
to
Big,
it.
Not Jay, not Nas. It's Royce the 5'9". You feel me?
You can't
have Prime 1 and Prime 2 and other joints sprinkled.
I think timing got a lot to do with it too. Timing is like, that's a big thing with music too. But it was just something about that song coming out in that moment during that time. It just worked. You know what I mean? And it like the longevity of it shows that. Because I've done a lot of things over the past 20 that I've been like super excited about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it may not have translated this. It may not have translated over time the way that I felt it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like, and that happens. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Boom is like
certified classic.
I didn't go in the studio like, nigga, I'm finna motherfucking murder this Preem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just went in there and just like, I just did what I did. I didn't think extra hard on it. I didn't like rewrite a bunch of times. I didn't do none of that. I just was being a kid. You know what I mean? I just went in there and just went.
But you murdered two Preem beats. You go from hip hop to Boom. Like you murdered both those premier beats. You know what I'm saying? How did you look up with Primo anyway? How did that relationship start?
Damn, how the fuck did I hook up with Preem? I know one of the first things that I wanted to do was get some production from him, and I believe at that time Preem was like he was so in demand at that time he couldn't physically, it wasn't humanly possible for him to like give a beat to everybody that wanted a beat. So he had like this policy where it's like, okay, if he hear that you want to work with him, then he'll go. If he never heard of you, then he'll go check you out, and then he'll decide based off of what he heard, rather if he'll work with you or not. And then if he decide he gonna work with you, then you got to pay him, and then he gonna give you a beat, and that's how that's gonna go.
Oh man.
So it was like some big dog shit. You know what I mean? So, and I went through that same protocol that I just ran down. I went through that exact same protocol. My man named Mr. Dave from Tommy Boy.
Mm-hmm.
He had a personal relationship with Preem. He went and told him. Preem was like, "Oh yeah, my man who he be with the white kid, right? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check him out." He went and listened to the Tony Touch 50 MCs freestyle.
I had that tape.
Yeah, yeah.
You was on there. A lot of Wu-Tang members, a lot of people, Sliver Weston was on there. That shit was hard.
God was on my side, bro, because I had just did that. So he went and listened to the most current, freshest, newest shit that I even did at that moment in time. So it was like, and I almost didn't do that day. I almost did the Tony Touch thing a couple weeks later. So I'm glad that I dug down and went and did it, because that's what Preem went and listened to decide whether he was gonna give me a beat or not. So once he listened to that, Mr. Dave ended up hooking us up, and we just start talking on the phone and shit. I'm running ideas by him, hitting him with different concepts and shit like that. And we just start kind of going from there with no real objective relationship wise. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck
No rapport, right? No rapport, right?
I mean, who goes into speaking to DJ Premier, even if it's, frequently at some more frequent at sometimes than others, and who goes into that with an intention behind it as far as the relationship. I didn't go into it thinking to myself, I'm about to build a relationship with Preem. I didn't even look at that as like an option. I just looked at it like, we talking on some music shit, and I want to come out with the best music possible from this dude. Like, I had no idea, like that it was gonna turn into not just a friendship, but this kind of a friendship. You know what I'm saying? Because you can have that, like in this business, you can have you can feel that kind of rapport with another creator easy. You know what I mean? Like, what I learned at an early age is that don't always mean that it's about to be a friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of motherfuckers is really, really good at motherfucking just like turning it on and off. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
like,
51 said these industry niggas are friends. They know how to pretend. That shit is real.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable though.
Right.
I can understand it, because a lot of times it could just be somebody guarding their own energy, man. Like, who knows what they've been through dealing with humans. You know what I mean? Especially in this kind of a business. It's probably, when I advise my son, when I give my son advice, all the advice I give him is like 9 characteristics of some shit a cancer would even say. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a cancer. I can feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I'm always like telling him that, like, take his feelings out of it, take your ego out of it, you know what I mean? Like, things that I still struggle with to this day. You know what I'm saying? But
me too.
It's easy for me to tell him that, because it's just like, when you can do that, when you can be all in with somebody, because the vibe is ultimately what's going to determine how well whatever y'all collaborating on is going to come out. So it's like, you want to give it all the energy that you have, all the good energy that you have, but you at such a compromise by giving everything to a friendship at the same time, when you don't really know where that person stands. You going out on a whim. It's like moving too fast when you're trying to build a relationship with a girl. Moving too fast is period. Anything involving a relationship where you're moving too fast,
It's not always good, sir. It's not always good. It's not always good. Not always good. Nah. Not a secret recipe, man. Was your name always Royce the 5'9"?
Yep.
Since as a young cat coming up in Detroit, always Royce the 5'9".
Yeah, I mean, when you say young cat coming up in Detroit, how many years do you think I had?
Well, all right. When you decided to start rapping, right? Let's go here first. What age did you start rapping? Can I go there first?
Yeah, well, start rapping, like
yes.
Actually letting other people hear the raps, probably like 17.
All right, so before that, you was rapping on the low at 13, 14. Can I say that?
I may have had a couple raps at 13 or 14, but I wasn't writing them like that.
Okay.
But I was studying all of the people who I felt were greats. I was coming into my form of like really. I was falling in love with people who were very technical with the words. You know, Andre 3000, Razzcast, E40.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, and then I start falling in love with like the way that them South niggas they can do like some of the stuff that a lot of the lyricists from the East Coast and people who would consider lyricists could do it, but they do it with this South thing on it, where it's almost like they hiding the lyricism and the swag, so to speak. And it's like that with production too. Like the way that Tunk is gonna flip a soul sample, it's gonna be a little bit different from how Bink is gonna do it, even though there are similarities, but whatever makes Tunk a little bit more South is what you'll hear. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's fascinating to me. You know what I mean? So it's like just being young and hearing the Chronic for the first time, it was just so much to analyze, you know. So I think I was just in analyze mode, you know, because I was focused on sports, like boxing and basketball.
I know you love boxing. I know you're a big boxing fan. I do know that.
Yeah. So I mean, I was focused on that, you know, and that was a safe bet in my household growing up.
Mm. Was it battling for you first? Was it battling in Detroit? Was that your first?
Battling. As soon as I graduated high school, like that same year, I went to the Ebony Showcase for the first time. That was in '96. By the time '99 came, I was damn near about to sign. I believe. Yeah, I signed in like either 2000 or '99. So I only had a couple years. So I had a couple battles in that window of time, but it wasn't like the guys are doing it now. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was like we had like a few fights and shit. You know, I was still wild, so I was running around taking off on niggas. Because really, the thing with me was like a lot of it was like spur of the moment, impromptu. A nigga just stepped to me out of nowhere because he don't like the way, you know, my buzz is, or, you know, he think I'm overrated, or, you know, he think niggas be acting too tough or whatever. You know, then I had to beat the sense into niggas. So it was like a double-edged sword. You know, battling was getting me in a lot of trouble. It was getting me in a lot of trouble too. You know, so I mean, I didn't really do it that much like that.
Do you remember your first rap?
I remember my first rap was called Motivated.
Damn, okay, I like this. Okay.
My first rap was called Motivated. It's crazy, man, because this shit came to me like maybe 6 months ago. I was just like, Motivated. I swear that was my first one. If I wrote anything before Motivated, it wasn't much. I remember it had to be a long time ago, because I remember I said, I'm motivated, hitting hard like steel. Now that I'm the real deal, what do you appeal? I'm the best in the West. I didn't even know I was in the Midwest. I'm the best in the West. Something about, I know I rhymed that with manifest. And then I said something about hitting hard like Holyfield. And you know it's real, which is what everybody rhymed.
Holyfield and real, yes.
Holyfield, know it's real. And everybody used to be hitting hard like Holyfield. So
and Bill Bixby, Bill Bixby bars. Bill Bixby bars was heavy in the 90s, man.
Yeah. No, listen. This is before I start like having an understanding of like connecting syllables and what's basic and what's not. I used to think basic was simply the rhythm. I used to think the rhythm is what made it basic, but I mean, it's both. It's the words. It's the way that you connecting them. It's the way a lot of guys are like heavy punchers, but the way they set up their punchlines is weak. You know what I mean? And it's like I never really those kind of guys never really scared me like that. The guys that can set shit up and you don't know where it's coming from, it's like a punch from an angle. Them fabulous type niggas, them niggas are the scary niggas to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what my original point was, but
motivation. You said motivation was the first song that you
yeah,
actually
motivated.
Motivated.
Hitting hard like steel.
Holyfield. What was the first tape you bought?
The first tape?
You remember the first tape you bought? Was it Run DMC? Was it Rakim? What was it? Somebody in Detroit locally?
Yeah, the first vinyl that I had was definitely Run DMC. My uncle bought that. My uncle bought that for us for Christmas. He sent like a box full of like vinyl and cassettes and shit. Fat Boys, Beastie Boys.
Oh Lord, I'll be talking. Yeah.
Run DMC, Fat Boys, Beastie Boys,
Houdini,
LL Cool J, Houdini,
yeah.
Ice-T. My dad put us up on Ice-T.
Colors and all that. Yes.
My dad was like, he was one of them anti-rap guys. You know what I'm saying? So
Pops?
he thought he was one of them anti-rap guys. So he heard us listening to like NWA, and it was just like,
yeah,
we was in trouble. We was in trouble, like you know what I'm saying? Like we was fucking watching porn or something. Like we listening to some niggas cussing. You cuss all day, every day.
Royce, my mom heard me play Slick Rick, Indian Girl. She broke my tape.
Man, you know, they was just doing the best that they could do with what they had, man.
Yes.
You know? Not all of them got straight A's across the board as far as parenting. You know what I mean? Hip hop was like that curveball. You know what I mean? Like you had Luke out there, you had all these front runners and fucking, you know, influential guys that were like willing to go on like Donahue and fucking and stand up for their right of freedom of speech. You know what I mean? Like not allowing, you know, the public or the powers that be or the legislation to move the goalposts around.
Right.
With that First Amendment right. It is what it is. Freedom of speech. Why can't the man make a record about a girl popping her pussy? Yeah, you never heard it before, but get used to it.
Right.
You know, so
did you break dance?
Huh?
Did you break dance?
Yeah, to the best of my ability. I mean,
all right.
I wish I could have been better, but I was pretty standard. You know, I could.
You know, Jadakiss still does windmills to this day, right? He still does windmills.
Yeah, I seen it. I could tell where Kiss probably could do a good windmill in his day, in his hay. You know what I mean? But the way that he windmill now, I can't even do that.
I can't do that, Royce. I can't do that. I'm 47 years old.
I can't do that. I don't know what it was about that fucking windmill. I couldn't get it, bro. I could spin on my back, you know, with the right piece of cardboard. You know, I could spin on my back. That's about all I had. You know, when I was at my best with dancing.
Okay.
The Running Man era.
The Running Man era. Yes.
Kid play MC Hammer. That's
and this right here, Royce.
Yeah. With the balloon pants.
Yes.
The balloon pants and the fucking, you know, the stupid ass haircut, the high top.
Yes, I had that. Yeah.
That was a good time.
Did you do graffiti?
No, I never did graffiti.
Okay.
I never did graffiti. But I was never it was never hip hop wasn't presented to us that way in Detroit for the most part.
Okay.
I always say, like, and this is another blurred line that I think happens, you know, when it comes to the way that New Yorkers view the culture, even like what we spoke about earlier, you know, like with like the Melly Mel thing and the Eminem thing. It's like the fact that you guys can clearly see that some of M's content, it didn't resonate with you that way. You know what I mean? Like you clearly can see that, and you clearly entitled to that. But then when it flips around, and it's just like, okay, y'all right there in the Mecca. You know what I mean? So just the way that you guys were able to take it in, it didn't hit. We didn't get introduced to it the same way. So our emotional attachment to it is as strong as yours, but it's just in different spots. You know what I mean? So it's like we idolize Melly Mel and we look at him like hip hop royalty. You know what I'm saying? But not all of us is looking at him, and I say this with nothing but respect.
Right.
Not all of us look at him like, yo, that's like, you know, like he's the father of our styles, and we didn't really listen to that. You know what I mean? Because it's a little bit before our time. You know what I mean?
You guys from the Motown era. Detroit is Motown era, of course. You know.
Yeah, but it's like the message and all of them joints when they come on anywhere. It's like that thing where you recognize it as greatness. You know what I mean? Like you recognize it as greatness. You know what it represents as far as from where we're sitting in Detroit. We know what it represents. You know, we may not have necessarily been sat down in school and shit like that.
Right.
You know, everybody not a historian, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it resonates, but it resonates different. You know, it doesn't resonate to me like Rakim. You know, like once Rakim got his hands on the English language with rap, we cooking with different grease now. You know what I'm saying? Because now we talking about syllable usage. We talking about the tones that he's using and how fucking you talking about somebody who like maneuvering throughout the drum and the snare like slithering like a snake. You talking about somebody that's just he can walk on the drum,
Royce, right? A game changer, right?
Game changer. Even LL Cool J, bro.
Game changer.
Even LL Cool J, man. Like I wanted to be LL Cool J. He didn't necessarily make me want to run and put pen to paper. I just love LL. Still do. Still feel the same way.
Absolutely.
But Rakim, yo, we talking about something different now, bro.
Yeah, man. 86, man.
We talking about something different now. And it's like I'm not saying that he's greater than Melly Mel. That would be an idiot thing to say.
Would it be though? Would it be respectfully? Would it be?
Well, it would be subjective, first of all, and then 2, it would be unfair to Melly Mel. Okay. And then 3, it would be 2 things that really we shouldn't be comparing, but it's a fun thing that we do.
Yes.
In culture. A lot of things should be broken down in generations. You know what I'm saying? But Rakim's impact on my life, Rakim's impact on me just as a MC, Redman's impact on me as an MC, Jay-Z, Nas, these people, man, like, bro, like the impact is no greater feeling than fucking listening to something and being inspired to want to like create your own, especially when you grow to a point where you're not mimicking that exactly. You inspired by it, but you figure out a way to do it your way. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start to look at it from that perspective, it's kind of hard to like give all of the grace and the credit to one thing, one person, one era. You know, Melly Mel, you know, like I wasn't directly influenced by him as an MC, but I benefited from what he presented to the game and what he contributed to the game, and I continue to benefit to this day. And people who come behind me, who benefit from me, are going to be able to say the same thing once they're in the right mind frame that they benefited from him as well. You know what I mean? But everybody's not like, oh my God, Melly Mel, the ultimate OG. Like I don't think that happens anywhere. Like I follow fighters real close. And one thing I quickly noticed about them, especially the younger guys, most of them are not really historians, bro.
Well, I saw the picture you and Crawford together. He's not a historian? You and Crawford. I saw you a picture with you and Crawford with the belts and everything like that. He's not a historian, you say? Someone like Crawford?
Yeah, that's so somebody like Crawford is like one of the most skilled fighters that we've seen, period, in the history of boxing. But it's already in his mind to be respectful of the OGs to come before him. That's a prerequisite for anybody. You have to be, you know what I mean? But when he talks about his favorite fighters, I never heard him go back further than Roberto Duran.
Duran, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, everybody not going all the way back to Sugar Ray Robinson in black and white film. You know what I mean? Like,
Joe
everybody
Lewis and
not
all
going
that.
back
Yeah,
to it.
right,
It don't
right,
mean
right.
it don't mean Sugar Ray Leonard is greater than Sugar Ray Robinson. It just means that Sugar Ray Leonard may have affected somebody more than Sugar Ray Robinson did. You know? And that's kind of like how I look at that. You know what I mean?
Let me just stay on the topic of hip hop though. You were Grammy nominated. 50 years down the road, would you ever thought Royce the 5'9" would be Grammy nominated?
Did I ever think it when I
It's
was
possible for you to be Grammy nominated, sir? That's so big to me. Like, I'm talking to a guy that's been Grammy nominated. That's just, you know.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why not?
Right, facts. I like that. I like that
I
talk,
mean,
Royce. I like that. I like that.
I mean, it's not really like a I'm not gonna sit here and try to downplay a Grammy. You know what I mean?
I want you to do it. I want you to do
That's
it.
what I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of those doors open up when you can look at it, when you can envision it. When you can envision it and you see it as a possibility, it can be possible. You know what I mean? And I don't look at anything as like so far from my reach where I can't touch it. If I see another man touch it, I could touch it. You know, like how people look at like billionaires and like Jay-Z or somebody like, oh, Hov is a billionaire, man. Like, damn, man, we'll never. Shit, I feel like if he can do it, so can I. If that's what I choose to do, you know what I mean? And I think continuing to allow yourself to be inspired by people that take it to a level that you want to take it to is key. You know, but everybody that I've ever respected, been inspired by, looked up to, idolized, held to a regard, all of those guys, the common denominator is all of them are Grammy nominated, Grammy award winners, and saluted and celebrated by their peers for their artistic greatness.
Right.
That's always been a thing for me, artistic greatness. I never really looked at the sales side of it. I always looked at like being in certain conversations because of my artistic greatness. You know, so that's like it's always been a focus. So just being in that mind frame, Grammy is just kind of like that comes with it. That's like a byproduct of everything that I stand for.
Do you remember the Double X cover with all the hip hop artists? It was Jay, it was Corrupt, it was E40, it was 3 6 Mafia, it was Wu-Tang. You remember that infamous cover with all the rappers on there?
It's not popping up in my head for some reason. I'm trying to think.
Well, I'm only going there. Do you think we need another portrait of that? Because that was so monumental. I know you probably don't remember that because it's so long time ago, but I saw somebody put that on Twitter the other day, and I was like, man, I bought that magazine. I remember having that magazine. You know?
When you say do you think we need it? What I mean, what exactly?
Black excellence, black.
Do we need a portrayal of black excellence? I feel like absolutely, across the board, as much as humanly possible. I don't think that the excellence that's in our community and in our culture is on display enough. Because I think there's a lot of excellence. There's a lot of excellent things happening that aren't on display at all. You know what I mean? Or is getting downplayed. I just don't think we celebrate our. I don't think we celebrate our positives as a culture as much as we should. You know what I mean? So anything, if not that exact thing per se, something that would be this era's equivalent to that. You know, something that shows everybody, together. I think that's why the Rock Nation brunch was so significant. You know, people just got a kick out of seeing all of those kind of like high powered artists, all the different artists, some different kinds of music that they make, all coexisting in one space, and kind of like celebrating each other and just kind of chilling, and then kind of like hanging their hat on, like getting dressed and looking nice, and you know what I mean, like just,
right.
You know, everybody just being cool. You never hear about nobody talking about they about to go to the Rock Nation brunch and fucking
act crazy,
part
right?
up. You know what I'm saying? Or like they gonna go fuck somebody up or something like that. It's almost like the Rock Nation brunch. It holds such a value that it's just like, even if you had beef in there, you would just be like, all right, I'm gonna catch you somewhere else.
Right. Facts.
I'm not about to mess up my $20,000 suit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
look, how much does videos play in your life? Hip hop videos. How much do you enjoy as a young guy coming up? How much do you enjoy watching hip hop videos? You're doing your own videos now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shit. The videos for us in Detroit, you know, before the internet, that was like our internet. That was like our gateway outside of Detroit to hear even what was going on. Because a lot of the music that I enjoyed wasn't a lot of music that I enjoyed from other places wasn't necessarily on the radio 24 hours a day.
It was visual, right? The visual, right?
Yeah. So it was like Yo MTV Raps. We had The Box. We had
Robert Daniels. Yes, sir.
Yeah, even MTV, like what's the shit?
Yo MTV Raps, Ed and Dre, Fat Fred.
Yeah, Yo MTV Raps, but even the more poppy one that Marshall took over. He took over
TRL and all that.
Even all that shit was cool. You know what I mean? Because it was like it's enjoyable to see like Times Square right there on your TV. It builds up like your anticipation for like how New York is gonna look when you finally get to go there one day. You know what I mean? Kind of like, you know, that was our outlet. That was our way of seeing shit that didn't look like, you know, the shit that we was accustomed to seeing every day. And if it wasn't for the videos and shit like that, then I wouldn't have had a chance to digest like the Tribe albums like I needed to, or like the Roots albums, or shit, a lot of shit like DLC. No one could do it better. That's oh my gosh, that's amazing work.
It's getting funky.
Yeah. That shit could have went under the radar because that shit wasn't on the radio like that in Detroit.
Oh man, shout out DLC, man.
And we had like a lot of local guys too, like Esham, Austin Gray in the Hardcore Committee, Prince Vince.
Okay.
We had a lot of guys where we was like going and buying their tapes. You know what I'm saying? Like they were celebrities to us. I didn't see them out nowhere like that, but they were like celebrities to us too. You know what I'm saying? So now that we got the internet, man, it's like it's no reason for you to just like dislike something so much that you feel like you need to even speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the internet has made it to where there was a point in time where when the machine was behind something, and that's usually because, you know, they hearing the people speak, so they you know, are magnifying it for the people. Now, when they used to do that, like Get Rich or Die Trying may have been one of the last albums like that, where it's like you couldn't escape it
at all.
You pull up to a red light, you stop at a red light. It's a song from that album playing out of every car that's on.
0350 was serious, right?
Yeah. Like you couldn't go to the mall, every store, it was a different song from that album playing off of there. Wow. Now, a song can be the number one album in the world. It could be, you know, 900 and something thousand sold the first week, and you ain't heard not a song on there unless you went and listened to it. Like, so it's like you don't have to hear nothing that you don't like. So there's no need for it. Used to be like, man, I gotta hear this shit on the radio all the time. This shit whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can kind of understand why be verbal, but now it's like, yo, they can't market shit to you to death no more. That shit is dead. You know what I'm saying? So people gotta really fuck with it, you know, in order for you to be able to cut through the noise. That's the interesting thing about today. It's like a gigantic conversation being had, and you got to figure out a way to get inside that conversation and stay there.
Wow,
that's tough.
That is very tough
because it's a noisy conversation.
So when I see a picture of you in Rome streets, I'm smiling. Should I be smiling?
I mean, of course. What's not to smile about? You just said Rome streets. I mean, shit, man.
I wouldn't mind hearing Royce and Rome on a track. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean,
You hear me and Rome on the track anytime, man. All Rome ever got to do is just send me something, or fly in, or I'll fly to him.
He's one of my favorite
That's
artists right now, Royce.
Who's my favorite artist right now?
No, he's one of my favorite artists right now.
That's
Rome.
a good pick.
Yeah, Rome is nice. I rock a Rome heavy, man.
That's a good pick. I've always liked Rome, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie and like pretend like that I was like tapped in. I haven't really been tapped into anything. But like he played me like a bunch of shit, and it's like he's either getting better, or the shit that I was hearing from him before, which was dope, was just earlier, and he taking on a new form now, or both.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he's definitely exciting. He's something to be excited about. You know what I'm saying? He's something to definitely be excited about, because he just trying to go. He's trying to go there in a no special effects, no, like no taking a shortcut to the door. He's trying to go there. He's trying to go direct with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You hear him, you immediately get the understanding that, yeah, I'm a lyricist. This is the way that I'm gonna do it. I'm up under this Griselda banner. I'm rapping. Remember when niggas used to rap? All right, that's what I do.
Right.
It's like that. It ain't like, yo, let me figure out a clever way to kind of disarm people so I can hit them with some lyrics when they ain't looking. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like I feel like it's the approach of a lot of these guys now. Like, it's something wrong with being a lyricist. People got to figure out ways to like make it cool. So it's like that shit is fucking crazy. Right. It's fucking crazy, man.
So let me ask you this: when Common Sense on I Used to Love Her says, "I met this girl when I was 10 years old, and when I love about her, she has so much soul." Does that mean a lot to you, also?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it should have that effect on anybody. It should have that effect on anybody. I mean, if you just look at the psychology of it from a science perspective, things shouldn't resonate with you the same as they did when you were a teenager.
Right.
They just shouldn't. There's a period of time in your life where you hanging posters up on the wall.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then there's a period of time in your life where
take them down.
You kind of feel like you outgrew that now.
Yes, I did. Yeah, yeah.
Like even
salt and pepper, all of your LL.
Yeah. Even the people that I idolize, I still hold them to the same regard. I just don't idolize them no more. Like Redman referred to me as a Floyd Mayweather of lyricism. And it's like, bro, of course I still idolize Reggie, but it's like, now if he's now talking about me like that, then that means I have to be at a certain age where it's time for me to start looking back at who looking at me like that, so I can embrace them and just kind of like keep a chain going. But for me to just idolize is not even healthy for like the evolution of what I'm doing. Like I've made
creation, right?
enough
of it, right?
Huh?
And the creation also, I would think, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, it's one of those things you just learn as a man how to separate the two. You don't lose like how you feel about the artist or the person. You don't lose that, but you got to kind of like figure out another way to look at it. It's tough though. Like I still be in the studio with Preem sometimes, or I'll be on the phone with him sometimes, and I just have moments where I'm like, I was at Drake crib recently. I just seen this new crib for the first time. And it was like, yeah, I was taken aback by the crib, but I kind of like,
imagine.
It's kind of like what you said about the Grammys. It's like, it's Dr. Dre though. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's 40,000 square feet, but it's Dr. Dre though. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of like, I ain't surprised by him being a billionaire, bro. I can't be surprised by that, but I'm sitting there with him, and I'm more taken aback by everybody kind of like tripping about the house, but I'm still tripping that I got this nigga phone number. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? Like I can crack a joke with you right now and you won't get offended. We know each other well enough to where I can be sarcastic with you and you won't get offended. You know what I'm saying? Like, and but you Dr. Dre though.
It's still Dr. Dre. It's still Dr. Dre. It's still Dr. Dre.
I do it with Preem. I do it with Marshall. You know what I mean? Like I do it with people. Reggie,
Black Dog.
Rascas. The last time Rascas came up here, man, it was like he was
The
coming up here
golden
to ask me
child.
for some beats. He came up here to ask me for some beats and for a verse. And he was asking me, like, you know, think I'm like, nigga, you know who you are. Nigga, you can have every beat, you can have every whack ass beat in this drive, nigga. I don't have to like the beats. If you like them, I love them. Take them. You Rascas. You ain't never gonna stop being
That's the golden child, man. That's the golden child, man. Stop playing.
So it's like, you know, it's kind of what it is, you know. That's why even what we went through with the Wu-Tang Clan shit, that shit broke my heart, man. That was like a motherfucker. That was like the biggest double-edged sword that ever happened in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, damn, bittersweet than the motherfucker.
Yeah. Royce, man, listen, man, I appreciate you taking your time to drop some hip-hop knowledge on me, man. I really appreciate you like cook food, brother, man. You know that, man.
Anytime, my brother. I appreciate you for having me, man. Thank you for the consideration, man.
Of course.
Definitely appreciate it, gang.
Appreciate you. Royce, I love you like cook food, my dude. Appreciate you, man.
I love you too, my brother.
My brother.
Okay, peace.